Hello everyone, welcome to Urbanscape, Bangalore. And this is your random gardening show in which we will see the repotting of the Crocosmia plant, some succulent summer pruning and upkeep, some Phalaenopsis aftercare, and finally, an interesting unboxing. So sit back and enjoy this unscripted show. So, folks, this is the Crocosmia. So, I haven't really gone through Wikipedia or any online resources regarding this plant. So, I am completely new to this plant as much as you are, maybe. So, we will just look at how to repot this, and I am just going to do a normal repotting without any kind of a soil upgrade or anything of that sort. Maybe a little bit of compost towards the end. That is it. So, I'll just be removing this nursery bag and then we will repot. So apparently I thought I would not water the plants and then do this repotting, but then my mom kind of was restless and she wanted to water the plants, so I have to do with this. So let's just look at the root ball first. So this is how the root ball looks like, and I think this is a corm. You can see this. So I think this is a corm plant, and it had bloomed and it was really beautiful. So these are the seeds, and it's looking very well pollinated and they look very stout. So probably I'll get more seeds out of this, and it's a beautiful plant, and I'll just place the photo of the flowers in the video somewhere so you can see how beautiful that was. So this is the container I'll be growing this plant in. There are some weeds, and this is how the whole setup really looks like when I do repotting, because I need something to kind of take care of the spillover and things like that. So I have this old tub of mine, so all the weeds and the soil can go into it and not make a mess in and around the place, because I've recently cleaned the entire premise. So this is a wise choice. So let's just make a small hole in the center. So for that I have this equipment. So just you can take the additional ones out. And then just make a deep hole so that it can accommodate the entire root ball. You don't have to break the root ball. So this potting mix has sand, compost and garden soil in it. So let's look at the depth, and this looks fine to me. So if you place your finger like this, there should be some distance between the fingertip and the root ball. So that's a perfect height. If you want, you can remove a little more, but I think this is fine. So now let's just remove these weeds again. So you can straighten it by moving the root ball. Yeah, this looks straight. And you can cut these old ones off. Please use a knife if you are new to gardening. I'm just doing this with all the instincts I have amassed over the years. So let's just leave this. Now slowly backfill. You can use the same potting mix, or you can amend it newly and then you can use it. So for the Crocosmia and for the summer months that are coming, I think this is fine. You don't have to do too much of thinking for this. So, or let's do one thing, let's just get some new potting mix and add it. So instead of using the old potting mix, I decided that I would use this new one. So it has some compost, it has some cow dung, it has some goat manure, and it has some old potting mix as well. So it includes, the old potting mix also includes a little bit of sand, compost, so that's a good combination. And then once you reach a certain level, just try and compact the potting mix and see if you're getting a proper level. So here you can add rainwater, you can add fish aquarium water and things like that. So just add some water, because this was already pre-soaked, you don't have to add too much of water. This much is enough. But if it is, or if it was really dry, what you need to do is you have to drench the entire plant with water. So that is it. We have finished the repotting of the Crocosmia, and probably we will wait and see on how this plant grows in the garden, and I will have a separate video for this beautiful plant. So folks, summer is also a very good time to kind of prune your succulents, to give them some reshaping and remove overgrown foliage and things like that. So these are the two succulent arrangements that you would have seen. I will add the link above or in the description box below, so you can watch that. But now you can see it's overgrown and it needs some kind of a haircut, especially this one. So what you can do is you can just cut off all these extra dangling ones. So you can, what you can do is you can also repropagate all these things. You don't have to waste them because these are very precious sedums. So you can take cuttings of this and you can just place it back again in those bald spots, so that you get more bushier growth. But this has gone a little out of control and a little overboard, and it's covering the other plants. So let's just give this a haircut. Take all these things off. So while gardening, you would get bitten, you would get allergies and things like that. So it's quite common. I am a little scared of getting bitten by certain insects, but otherwise I'm fine. If it's an ant or a small insect, it's fine. But certain things like bees and things kind of scare me for some reason, especially wasps. So remove all the sedums that cover the other plants. And just be careful, some of the succulents you added, or some of the cactuses you've added can be a little prickly and you may not know that it is there. So be careful about that as well. And there are things like this. This turtle vine is quite weedy, so if you want you can remove this, or you can just keep it as is and let it do its own thing. But I prefer removing this because it's more of a succulent arrangement and I want to keep it that way. So I'm removing the turtle vine. So anything that dangles out of the pot, you can remove it. And these are succulents. These will anyway grow and fill the entire place. So you don't have to worry about it. You're actually doing more good than harm. And things like this, you can just cut it off. These are all half eaten or half rotting leaves of the Kalanchoe luciae, or the paddle leaf succulent. You can take them off. This particular Succulent arrangement is a little more behaved and it's kind of better looking than this. I just see some kind of a protrusion here, so I'll just place it back. So if there are more succulents here, take them and add them here. That's it, simple. You don't have to put extra soil or things like that. Whatever soil is available, it can make use of it. So if you want more of the succulents here, you can add the sedum here. And if you want to top up the entire arrangement, you can always do that. So use a very well draining mix of compost, sand and garden soil if you want, and then just top it off in places where you think the soil is scanty. And this also adds extra nutrition because it's a new year and plants also need some kind of enjoyment, and this is their kind of enjoyment. So you can add some potting mix, top it up, so gardening is very simple. It's not rocket science. It's just based on experience and the amount of dedication you can give your plants. That is it. If you get that right, I think gardening will be very easy. So another thing that I have to talk to you about is the orchid care after it finishes blooming. And this is a Phalaenopsis orchid and it's an amazingly beautiful plant. It's long lasting and things like that, and it's very pretty. So a lot of you ask me questions on when you should prune the flower stalk once it finishes blooming and things like that. So let's see the different facets of what I do for my Phalaenopsis plant. So it's always better to err on the side of caution, especially with orchids. That is because you don't really have to be overzealous and cut off the entire bloom stalk once it finishes blooming, but you can always remove the old drying leaves and you can throw them off, and you can keep the beautiful ones intact. And you can see here there are more buds. So do not cut your bloom stalks until and unless it kind of completely dries out. Like if you scratch this and if you see there's still green in it, that means any of these nodes could have new blooms coming out. See this? So I think I had earlier explained about 1, 2, 3, 4, like you can cut it below the 5th node and things like that. That is not entirely practical because look at this. There is one coming at the first node or the terminal node, and there is one coming here as well. So if I cut it below the 5th node, then I would have lost this, right? So it's always better you leave it as is and you can just let the orchid do its own thing, and then once it completely dries and you know there is no life in the bloom stalk, you can cut it off. But the Phalaenopsis orchid bloom stalks, they last for a very long time compared to the Dendrobium ones. The Dendrobium ones I've seen, they kind of brown up and you will have to take the entire flower stalk. So this is the difference between the Phalaenopsis and your Dendrobium orchids. So I hope this really helped you in determining when to prune your Phalaenopsis orchids, and you can use it in your day-to-day activities with your favorite orchid plant.